The Princess and the Pea. Once, long ago, there lived a prince who wished very much to marry a princess. Not just any princess, but a true princess. He travelled far and wide in search of her. He visited great cities and small villages, crossed rivers and stayed in houses where he was welcomed kindly. He met many young women who called themselves princesses, and some who were called princesses by others. They were all well dressed, well spoken, and courteous. And yet, each time, something felt uncertain. The prince could never quite explain what was missing. There was no fault he could point to, no clear reason to refuse. Still, he returned home each time with the same quiet doubt and the same unanswered question. So, he came back at last to his own kingdom, thoughtful and somewhat weary, and there he remained. One evening, as night was settling in and the lamps were being lit, a storm began. Rain fell steadily at first, then harder. Wind moved through the streets and along the walls of the palace. Thunder sounded in the distance, low and slow. It was during this storm that there came a knock at the palace gate. The guards opened it to find a young woman standing outside in the rain. Her cloak was soaked through. Her shoes were heavy with water, and her hair clung to her face. She looked tired from travelling and cold from the weather. She asked very politely to be let inside. "I am a princess," she said. The guards exchanged glances. She did not look as princesses usually did when they arrived at the palace. There was no carriage waiting beyond the gate, no attendants, no fine luggage. Still, she spoke calmly, and there was nothing demanding in her voice. Word was sent inside, and soon the queen herself came to see the visitor. The queen looked carefully at the young woman. She noticed the worn edges of her shoes, the rain-darkened hem of her dress, and the way she stood patiently, without complaint, while water gathered on the stone floor beneath her. The queen said nothing at first. She simply nodded and ordered that the young woman be given dry clothes, a warm meal, and a place to sleep for the night. But as she turned away, the Queen began to think. She had seen many visitors come to the palace over the years, and she had learned that some truths are not spoken aloud. Some must be discovered quietly. So while the servants prepared the guest chamber, the Queen made preparations of her own. She took a single small pea and placed it at the bottom of the bed. Over the pea, she ordered 20 mattresses to be laid, one on top of another, each one soft and carefully arranged. Only then did she allow the bed to be made ready. The princess was shown to her room late that night. She thanked the servants, wished them a good rest, and climbed into the high bed, which rose far above the floor. The storm outside continued for some time, but eventually the palace grew quiet. Morning came. Sunlight reached through the tall windows, and the household began to stir. The Queen went first to visit the guest. She found the young woman awake, sitting up in bed. "Did you sleep well?" the Queen asked. The princess hesitated, just slightly. "Oh," she said, "I hardly slept at all." The Queen looked at her more closely. "What was the matter?" she asked. "I cannot quite explain it," the princess said. "Something in the bed made it impossible for me to rest. I felt as though I were lying on something hard all night. I am sore all over and very tired." She spoke without anger or exaggeration. She did not complain loudly or demand anything in return. She only stated what she had felt. At once, the Queen understood. Only a true princess could be so sensitive, she thought, that she could feel a pea through 20 mattresses. The prince was called, and the story was told to him. When he saw the young woman and heard her speak, his doubts fell away. Here, at last, was someone whose nature was exactly what it claimed to be. The princess stayed at the palace, and in time she and the prince were married. The wedding was celebrated simply and joyfully, and the kingdom was content. As for the pea, it was carefully preserved and placed in the royal cabinet, where it could be seen by anyone who wished. And there it remained, a small, quiet reminder that sometimes the truest things are felt rather